Good day, fellow deal makers. Welcome to the Deal Scout. My name's Josh, and I want to welcome you. And today we have a special guest and also a special announcement later on. One of my friends, Susan, who was introduced to us by Eddie Wilson, a friend of both of ours, who is very successful in the world of mergers, acquisitions, buying and selling and growing businesses. So we, as deal makers, we always want to thank the people who helped connect because in this world of business connections, relationships are the number one source of business and source of relationships and growth, and it's just great. So a special shout out to our friend Eddie. Thank you for connecting us. And yeah, let's dive into today's episode. My portion of this is going to be kind of brief, and then we got a special announcement for you. But I want to introduce you guys to Susan. Susan, welcome to the Deal Scout.
Hi there, Josh. I am so excited to be here today. Thank you. And hello to everybody in Deal Scout world. Nice to
Yeah.
meet you. I'm Susan Riley.
Susan Riley. Susan, why don't you tell us in the world of deal making, kind of give us your journey into the world of deal making. What are you doing now? And then how did you get into that role? Give us a view into your journey.
Sure. Well, I've been doing business brokering and commercial real estate for several years here in Florida, and I've focused on really a variety of things, multifamily and industrial, um, not so much office, maybe more retail, a lot of different things. Land, I love land. So a lot of different things in the last couple of years. And the reason I came to this was because prior to um, commercial real estate and business brokering, I had owned or co-owned six small businesses myself over the last 30 years. The last one was my accounting firm, which I sold in 2021. So it felt like a natural fit to go from all those small businesses that I've owned or co-owned and sold, and an accounting firm that I've sold, to move then into commercial real estate and business brokering. So that's kind of how it evolved to get to where I am today. Just small business entrepreneur, building, scaling, selling businesses. That's just kind of what my life has been for as long as I can remember, in my family's life and my ex-husband's life. It's just kind of that's what my thing is. Yeah.
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 Now you've been doing this even as a young, young child, you were in the family business, working with, mom and dad and building businesses. So like this has been in your blood for quite a while. And as you went to build your own, your last one was an accounting group that you were working building. You were building this up. When you started building, did you have it intent to build and sell? Like what was the initiation of like I'm gonna build this? Why did you build it? Why did you grow it? Why did you one day want to sell it? What was the story there?
You know, it's almost a little weird for me to say this because I'd had, like I said, I'd had five small businesses. My ex-husband and I had had five small businesses prior to my accounting firm. And I had done all the accounting for all those businesses all those years. And so when we went our separate ways and I started my own company, my own accounting firm, I wanted to do for other small businesses what I'd done for our businesses all those years,
Yeah.
and keeping track of money and getting us on the trajectory to be very profitable. And so that's what I wanted to do in my accounting firm, and that's what I did. And I had a lot of success in my accounting firm with that. Um, but to answer your question, I really, as strange as it sounds, I really didn't think to myself that someday I'm going to sell this. I just kind of thought I would be happy doing that forever and
Yeah.
ever. And it would be something that, I could continue to grow and I could scale and I could just, I'd be happy. I just keep hiring people to keep getting more and more clients. And that would be the end all be all for me. Um, and after a while doing that, then just out of nowhere, somebody said, "Hey, can you interested in selling?" And at the moment, I was like, yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I guess
Right
I am.
timing.
Perfect timing. I
Yeah.
guess I am ready to sell because I think I would like to do something else for a while. And so that's kind of how it happened. That's really not, textbook says when you're a small business owner and an entrepreneur, you should prepare for your exit when you're back in the beginning. And
Mhm.
that is yes, that is what you should do, but that isn't really what I did. And I don't know why that didn't occur to me, but it did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Timing of life and different stages and different journeys that we're on. Um, Sometimes we don't think of the end in mind. And I know on this show we talk a lot about business exits, and now what I love about your story is you did accounting because in all of the small businesses that you built, five prior, and then with your family prior to even that,
Mhm.
you were
Mhm.
always in charge of the accounting and the cash flow and in managing the money, and you were good at it. So when you started your next adventure, you did for others what you did well for yourself. And I think that makes the best deal maker. I'm going to
Mhm.
help do for others what I'm really good at and I could do for myself with my eyes closed. I think it's called the personal value proposition. And
Mhm.
I think that's
Yeah.
so important. So, meeting you and learning about you, what would you consider? I know you're really good at, seeing the money flow, but there's also some other superpowers that you have. What other superpowers do you think you bring to the table?
Well, it's funny how you go your whole life and you think, okay, I'm really good at this or I'm really good at that. And in my case, I was like, okay, I'm really good at accounting and keeping track of money and being organized and being strategic about how to scale. I'm really good at that, right?
Mhm.
But what I didn't realize that I'm even as good or even possibly better is connecting people. That has been something I've learned in the last probably the last 5, 6 years is that it is a superpower. I feel a superpower of mine to meet someone, learn about their business, and then meet someone else, maybe 6 months or a year later, and learn about their business. And in my mind, it clicks. And I remember the person that I met 6 months or a year before and thought, wow, those two people will could really help each other. And then I can make that introduction because I'm really good at keeping up with people too, and following up with them, as you probably know, Josh,
Yeah.
with over the last year, but really good at connecting and keeping up with people and introducing them. And then they find benefit in each other. And I can step out because I've made that introduction. And I love doing that. That is fun for me. That is my it's kind of in my gut, I guess. It's that fire I have. I
Mhm.
love doing that. So fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I hear, right? You have a track record of connection, right? Being able to connect the dots between two interested parties. You have a background in financials, being able to understand a business's financials and in the accounting process. I think you're, one of a top level, QuickBook Pro or something like that. Like you're
Mhm.
you're pretty
Mhm.
high level up there. And then the ability in a small business to build, scale, and sell. So you connect all those dots, and it absolutely makes sense to get into the world of business brokering, which
Mhm.
you are, and you're crushing it, and the world of commercial real estate, which sometimes in small business, they go hand in hand. They got a business selling that's sitting on a property, right? Why not represent the whole kit and caboodle, right?
Right. Sure.
Um, yeah, so let me ask a question. As you're building this out, what are you most excited about in the future? And maybe that goes along with some of our announcement today.
What am I most excited about in the future?
Mhm.
Um, well, I'm most excited about really doing exactly that. I want to keep uh, expanding my network of people. I
Mhm.
want to be systematic about it, where I know what it is they do, and I have resources in place. And I mean, software, of course, but resources in place to help manage and organize people. And I want to put people together. I want to put buyers with sellers and get businesses and property sold and conveyed between them by making introductions. I want to be a professional networker. That's
Yeah,
what I want to do.
yeah, and you're doing it fantastic. And that brings us to our special announcement today is as the host of the Deal Scout, I launched this with some people that are very important to me, and I'll share their names in a minute. But I think we've done a few hundred interviews, and we've been doing this for about 4 years, and we've been able to use this podcast and this network to connect hundreds of millions of dollars worth of deals and people together. And it's been a fantastic journey. But my time with the Deal Scout is coming to an end. And the special announcement, and we've been preparing this and prepping this in the background for months and months, preparing for this. And I want to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to Susan, your new host of the Deal Scout. Susan is going to be running with the legacy and growing it to new levels that I was unable to do with her and her team and her abilities. So that's the special announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Susan as your new host of the Deal Scout.
Well, thanks so much, Josh. I can't even tell you how exciting this is to be sitting here and you making that introduction to me. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the opportunity. As I was saying a minute ago, you and I have been in touch with each other for the last year and a half. Our good friend Eddie Wilson introduced us about a year and a half ago. And we've kept up with one another because I've always thought you were very interesting in what you do. And you obviously thought I was interesting too. So, I mean, it's nice that we've kept up with one another and that it's worked into this, that we found a synergy between us that I can take over the Deal Scout and keep running with it, because you built a tremendous podcast. And kudos to you for getting where you've gotten. This is great. I'm very excited.
Well, it took a team, and I just want to take a second to thank them because, when we built this in the power plant incubator, it was me, Chris Cook, Drew Ramasco, Scott Sidler, Tyler, Jessica. There was like a ton of people who were involved in the ideation of it and the forming of it and coming together and I'm just super grateful for everybody who's, Chris Marshall, and I'm sure there's people that I might be forgetting, but like I'm just so grateful for the team and the groups of people that helped build this out, because it impacted a ton of people in the and also in the community of Ocala. So thank you for the team did it. And now, like later on, we had Jeremy come in, and then you came in, and you guys are doing things that are bigger and better than what I could on my own. So just super proud to see something being built, and now seeing the future of what it's becoming is super exciting for me.
Well, tell us. I know everybody wants to know. So tell us what you're going to do. Where are you going? What's the plan for you?
Asking an entrepreneur what's their plan. It's funny. This is the almost 1 year ago. Actually, it was a year ago. I got an opportunity to work with a institutional investor, family office, and they saw my network, they saw my ability, and they saw how I built relationships and how I built people and built businesses. So I had an opportunity to join them a year ago. And over the last year, they said, hey, you're fairly decent at, this idea of business connecting and learning the world of investing. They said, maybe consider getting your investment banking license. So I spent the last year really with my nose in the books every morning at, 4 in the morning, studying the SIE, then the Series 79, then the Series 63, and now the Series 7. So it's like spent the last year really learning and growing. That's in the morning. That's the first half of the day. The first half of the day is, from 4 to 12, and the second half of the day is, from 12 to 8 is doing the work. But I spent the last year learning about the capital markets and taking companies public and learning how to invest in businesses and scale businesses from the financial side. So as that goes, it didn't leave much time for my other 4 podcast shows.
Right.
I had to choose and focus, which has been a very difficult thing for a visionary and a founder to do, is what's the plan and how do you focus? So tough things, tough lessons.
Are you, describe what investment, can you give us a little bit more about exactly what is investment banking? That's a big term.
Thanks. I'm still learning, right? I'm probably the newest person on Wall Street, but in terms of you're a business broker. You're a real estate professional. I'm a real estate broker, business broker myself, and our job is to connect a seller with a buyer or a buyer with a seller, right? Our job is connecting the dots between two interested parties. Investment banking is very similar, where there's a company that has needs, financial needs to raise capital or to get debt for whatever reason. And there's investors out there that would love to have an opportunity to partner and strategically, link arms with this group. But sometimes they could be in the same neighborhood, the same office building, but sometimes they're not communicating.
Mm.
So, one of my jobs is to find out companies that need and find out companies, maybe it's an institutional investor or family office, that they have needs too, right? They have needs for their capital to put it to work. So my job is to connect the dots and connect people. So it's very similar to the world of real estate. It's
Mm.
just different licensure, different
Mhm.
regulating boards, and lots of education and learning.
Are you gonna, are you, well, okay, so you're working with this investment banking company,
Mhm.
and do you have other things outside of that that you're incorporating to continue to grow that network that you have?
Yeah, that's a great question. And if FINRA's listening, that they do a very, very good job asking those kind of questions. They're called OBAs, outside business activities. And
Mhm.
when you start going through the process of becoming a registered representative, you have to disclose. Everything's about disclosure when you're working in the capital markets. So you start disclosing things. And one of the things that I've learned over the past year of studying and getting into this process is it's very, very, very difficult to do this job and do it well just on its own. Other things start to get neglected, outside business activities, which you have to disclose, and everybody can look on my broker check and see exactly the things that I'm involved in, right? It's very transparent. This is a world of transparency and authenticity, right? So you guys could see exactly what I'm doing. But I quickly learned that I am, as a visionary entrepreneur, one of my strengths is being able to create ideas and build stuff and work my tail off to do it. But that's also a weakness. And this process of working with this group, this investment group, and then also getting licensed and going through this process and has like forced my hand in many aspects to start remove stuff from my life.
Mhm.
And that's a painful lesson because I'm realizing that I can't do everything. I'm not able to. I'm running out of time. I'm running out of bandwidth. So it's forced me to focus on the big rocks, I guess is what who said that? David Allen, I think, was the guy who talked about, eat the big frog or the frog in the whatever. Anyways, it's the what are the things that are going to move the needle most for me, my family's mission, and my roles and responsibility at the job. And so when it comes to outside stuff, people can see what I'm doing, but I'm getting more and more away from doing anything external to this one core mission.
Mhm.
And that's actually been a big growth part of my life. It's been very challenging to do that because I've always had 3 or 4 jobs. I've always had 3 to 4 things. And my dad taught me that. And I'm not saying that that's the right answer. It probably wasn't. But now I have a core singular focus, and it's
So,
this.
so why,
That was a long answer, Susan.
it,
People are probably falling asleep over there.
no, I doubt that. I doubt
Yeah,
that. But so why, well, okay, so back up though, just a little bit.
sure.
What was your motivation for starting the Deal Scout to begin with?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Um, so the Deal Scout, you know, I I built my first podcast show probably 8 or 9 years, well, maybe almost 10 years ago now. And I was in my garage in Dallas, Texas, and I was building a fitness technology company, which eventually got me into the world of deal making, venture capital, private equity, et cetera. But I built my first podcast show. It was called The Village Push, and that was um, 20 shows ago. I built about 20 brands and probably 2,000 or so interviews with people ago. When I built one, I was working with a client within the past 4 years, and they sold business to business products. So one of the things that I was working with them on is how do we get in touch with more businesses? So I was cold calling all day. At one job I had to call 100 people a day, and your conversion rates on a cold call is like 4 to 5%. Like you call 100 people, you might get 5 people who talk to you, and you might
Mhm.
get one of those who are actually interested in a demo or a conversation or whatever. So my thinking is, hey, I've built a bunch of these podcast shows in the past. Why not build a podcast show interviewing my ideal clients? So I built a show. And then as I was going through this process, I started looking at what licenses, what opportunities did I already have. I was a real estate broker, business broker. I had the ability to connect the dots there and to create opportunity. So formulating some ideas, I had one company said, hey, we will pay you to go find us businesses to buy. And I was like, wait a second. I'll go scout these opportunities. I'm scouting for deals. And I was like, the deal scout. I wrote it up on the board. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I think I was with Chris and maybe we were smoking a cigar or something like that. But we're like, oh my gosh, the deal scout. So we trademarked it, bought all the domains, bought every social handle we could think of at the time. We probably missed something, but like, that was where it formed. It was like the idea of we could interview people who we want to build relationships with, and who eventually might buy business with us or for us or whatever. So like we started interviewing private equity groups, family offices, and different groups who were actively buying deals. And we started broad, and it was we were able to put together a ton of deals for people, and
Mhm.
it was exciting when you see all these things happen. And my network exploded on LinkedIn, and some really good relationships came from this. That's how you and I met, was
Right. Right.
from conversations with people and then introductions made afterwards.
Right. So the Deal Scout was sort of training wheels for your investment banking because now you're doing a similar model. It's just in a different industry. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, it's the business fundamentals are very similar. It's people have needs and other people could fulfill those needs. So yeah, it's very similar. It's you and I both share our desire to make connections with people,
Hmm.
right? We want to connect with people and truly serve them well and connect them with others who we've connected with. So I get to do it just different transactions. You're dealing in the world of buying and selling businesses. I'm dealing in the world of people looking to take companies public or raise capital. So it's very, 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 very similar. Same business fundamentals. It's people needing people.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's very exciting. So you're already immersed in investment banking, and so you're gonna. How does it to feel like to let Deal Scout go and to say
Mm,
that you have to take a back step, you have to step out of it? How does that feel right now?
yeah.
Is that
Well,
hard?
this was the decision that it took me a while, because what I tried to do is I try to hold on to as many things as I can for as long as I can. And
Hmm.
what I realized was is I was neglecting things in my life. What you say yes to is, it's a choice, and it forces you to say no to other things. And when I found myself burnt out, when I found myself not being able to focus purely on the jobs at hand, and I could feel myself being affected in my study times or in my work life, or even how I was working with my clients. For example, I closed down all my media operations working with podcasters. I was helping other podcasters build, launch, grow, scale, sell their podcast shows,
Hmm.
and I'm not able to do that anymore. Not because I can't in terms of like regulation, but I can't. I just don't have the bandwidth, the time, the energy. I've got to focus. So letting go of something, you have a decision to make. You could either kill it, right? Or you can delegate it out if you could still have some bandwidth to do a little bit of it. Or you can somehow figure out a way for the legacy to go on, but that means surrendering it and letting go. And when over the last year, I was searching for that. We had offers to buy it. We had people showing up with offers to buy the Deal Scout, and at one point it was for sale. But you know, I think what brings me great joy is lifting up my friends. And I saw an opportunity to do that with you and your skill sets. First, it takes a skill set, right? You got to find the right team, the right people. And then with Jeremy and his operations and his mindset on how to build, grow, scale, and processes and integrate stuff, I was just like, wow, this is a good team. And what I did is I worked myself out of a job. Like I helped put together the team and I coached guys a little bit, and I realized that my job wasn't to be at the table anymore. And one day I realized that, and I go, I'm actually the bottleneck here. I'm actually the ceiling here, and I'm limiting my friend's ability to grow. That was the hardest part of that realization. Like I'm no longer helpful here.
Hmm.
It's time for me to step aside. And that was a hard realization. And that turned into the conversation of, Susan, will you do this? Will you take on the legacy and carry it on? And I think you were a little shocked when I asked you that. Are you like, are you serious?
I was. I was, ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, podcast. I don't know how to do a podcast. Yeah, a little nervous, a little, yeah, a little nervous, uncertain, anxious, all those words, on how to, how to make it, how to do the production, how to do the interviews, how to, get the people to interview, how to make the connections once I have them all those things.
Mhm.
But at the same time, with the help of my super awesome business coach, this is something that really is, and I didn't mean to change it to how I'm thinking of things because we were
No,
talking about
please
you,
do. I think
but
that this is it, man. This is the gold of this all.
well, this is my, as I said earlier, this is connecting people I really feel like it's my superpower. I, I can do accounting all day long and I can find properties and I can, put signs in yards of things that I'm trying to help someone sell. And I can do all that, all those things. But what gets me going and lights me inside and it's like my will or um, just my presence in this world is that I like to connect people. And it just makes me happy to do that. And so it's a really natural fit. So this podcast is really a vehicle then to use to meet people that are interested in buying properties and have a mission of what it is that they're looking to purchase for whatever reason, and also to meet people and understand what people are looking for when they want to sell something, and talk to them about it and get a good grasp of what what their product is, I guess,
Mhm.
and then putting the two together. It's just a really natural fit. So really natural thing for me, I guess.
Mhm.
So when you asked me that and when I really thought about it and really jumped into the idea of it,
Mhm.
it was just felt really good. Feels really natural and normal for me. Feels like it just is this is my path.
Yeah. And I think maybe because I did 2,000 interviews with people over the years, and um, I gotta increase that. I gotta like count that number. Maybe I'll pay my daughter to count how many I actually did one day. But the what you see is you see common trends of people who find joy in it. Because I've also launched a bunch of shows, and I've also coached a lot of people, hundreds of people into the world of podcasting, and you see common threads of people who start a show and do well in a show, or who don't do well in a show, or burn out, or this or that. But you find a person who truly loves connecting with people and hearing their story. They're curious. Those, that personality type, the that kind of spirit does well in this world. And I saw that in you. I saw that in you, and I was like, I think she's the one. That sounds like the Matrix. You're the one, Neo.
Right.
I don't know,
I'm
man.
ordained
Anyways,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
here we are.
so here we are, and it's going to be fun. I am super excited. I'm ready to go. I'm looking for potential people to interview, as you know, and I'm inviting anyone that's interested to reach out, Susan at thedealscout.com, and we'll get you set up with a preliminary uh, information gathering, and then we'll get together, make a plan, and get together and do some interviews. And you'll come back, won't you, Josh, at some point, and
Sure
maybe
will. Yeah.
several times, right? And tell us what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And as you close out today, people in my network, here's the people that Susan wants to connect with. If you guys and gals are in the world of deal making and you're active deal makers, active, doing transactions in the world of commercial real estate or maybe buying and selling businesses, mergers, acquisitions, maybe on the check writing side, the finance side, the service provider side on that stuff. People in my network, feel free to reach out. Even if you've been a past guest, reach out to Susan. And if you want introductions, to Susan, you can reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Good. Yes. Some mergers, acquisitions, private equity, family offices, all the above, right? That you just said, business brokers. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to have the opportunity to just interview as many people as that want to come on. Be super. So cool. Great. Well, thanks so much for everything, Josh, and we will see you again very soon.
Cheers, guys.
Okay. Bye. Hi there. My name is Susan Riley, and I'm the new hostess of the podcast, The Deal Scout. The mission of The Deal Scout is to connect buyers and sellers of businesses and or commercial real estate. We produce timely podcasts highlighting what the buy side, mostly M&A firms, private equity companies, and private investors are looking to buy. And we produce timely podcasts highlighting businesses and or commercial real estate, which is currently for sale by private owners, commercial real estate agents, and business brokers. The Deal Scout is building a network from the ground up to bring these two groups together to help them find deals. If you want to appear on the Deal Scout podcast to highlight your needs, reach out to me at susan@thedealscout.com. You and I will do a 15-minute, no cost, no obligation discovery call. And if we're a good fit, we'll schedule the podcast taping. I look forward to talking to you about your deal. Again, reach out to me at susan@thedealscout.com.